Hey there, CJ Math students. Welcome to part 2 of 2.15, and we're going to work 8 and 9. So it says rewrite each expression only as multiplication and evaluate. So when we got division here, we want to change everything to multiplication. So first of all, any whole numbers we see, we're also changing to fractions. So this 1 becomes 1 over 1. Now this becomes times, and then when we multiply, we use the reciprocal. So we flip it. 3 over 2 times negative 8, so we can say 8 over 1. Notice I'm avoiding my negative signs. I'll tell you why in a second. Times 3, so we can say times 3 over 1. And then divided by, so we want to change that to times, and then we'll flip this guy. So times 2 over 1. Why do I need to avoid my negative signs? Because look, I've got 2 of them. Because I have 2 negatives, my answer is going to be positive, so I can forget all about them. All right? So here, let's look to cross cancel. Can I cross cancel anything? Oh, yes, I can right there. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So now let's just multiply straight across. We got 1 times 3, which is 3, times 4, which is 12, times 3, which is 36, times 2, which is 72. Lots of multiplication going on there, right? But 3 times 4 was 12, times 3 was 36, times 2 was 72. Now on the bottom, I've just got nothing but ones, right? So 72 over 1 gives me my answer of 72. Number 9, rewrite the expression only as multiplication and evaluate. So let's see how many negatives we have this time. We have 1, 2, 3 negatives. Because I have an odd amount of negatives, my answer will be negative. So now let's go ahead and ignore the negatives and tackle this problem. So 2.2, I'm going to write it here, is really 2 and 2/10, right? Because the 0.2 is the 2 over 10. But really 2/10 is 1/5. So 2 and 1/5. How to get 1/5? I divided both of those by 2. Simplified, right? So we have 2 and 1/5 times negative 2, but again we can ignore the negatives because we know my answer will be negative. So 2 over 1 divided by, which we'll change to times, and flip. Can't just change it to times without doing something else. It's like that when we did keep change, it had to be plus positive or plus negative. You had to do like 2 things. So you have to say times and flip. So 4 over 1 times 5 over 1. All right, let's go ahead and change this mixed number to an improper fraction. We know we have to do that before operating, so we get 11 over 5 times 2 over 1 times 4 over 1 times 5 over 1. Now some of you may say, hey, there's nothing we can cross cancel here. We're going to get a huge number. You can use the commutative property of multiplication to reorder this because I have nothing but multiplication now. So let's put the ones that are 5s next to each other. 11 over 5 times 5 over 1 times 2 over 1 times 4 over 1. Since I did that, now we can go ahead and cross cancel. 5 and 5 both become 1. Makes this problem a whole lot easier. 11 times 1 is 11. 11 times 2 is 22. And 22 times 4 is 88. And 1 times 1 times 1 is just nothing but 1. So I get 88. But my answer isn't 88, it's negative 88. How do I remember that? From the very beginning where I had 3 negatives. So that's why I encourage you guys to count your negatives at the very beginning and then just put, hey, my answer is going to be positive or negative. If it's negative, put your negative in the answer and then just forget all about the negatives, okay? So we're going to practice finding the product and cross-canceling. I encourage you guys to use the commutative property when you get to long ones to try and make cross-canceling a little bit easier. So for instance, number 1, there's no cross-canceling you can do, but you can say, hey, between a positive and a negative, my answers will be negative. I'll get 5 over 6, and then just remember to put my negative sign. For number 3, again, there's no cross-canceling, but again, between a positive and a negative, my answer will be negative. 2 over 15. Now, in number 5, hopefully we can do some cross-canceling. If we rewrite this using the commutative property, I can put either 3 over 2 next to 1/3, or even 3 over 2 next to 5/3. It doesn't matter. So I want to just make it as easy as possible and rewrite it. So times 1/3 times 1/4 times negative 5/3. And before I move any further, I have 3 negatives, so my answer will be negative. So I'll put a negative sign right there. Now for cross canceling, look at the 3's, right? Again, why did I move this one next here? Because I saw diagonally I could eventually cross cancel. So this becomes a 1, this becomes a 1, and now we can multiply straight across. 1 times 1 times 1 times 5, 5. 2 times 1 is 2, times 4 is 8, times 3 is 24. So negative 5 over 24 is your answer. All right, I'm going to do number 8 because it's a little tricky. Remember, the ones I don't do, you're going to do in partners. -1 and 1/3. We got to first count how many negatives we have. We have 1, 2 negatives, so my answer will be positive or negative. It will be positive, so forget about the negatives. Now let's change this to an improper fraction. 1 times 3 gives you 4/3 times 1 times 4 gives you 7/4. You can leave 1/4, and you can leave 3/2. So what do we want to move around? Move around a whole bunch of stuff, or we can just say, hey, look, I can cross cancel right there. There's really nothing else I need to do, so let's cross cancel. 4 and 4, divide that, they both become 1. So 1 times 7 is 7, times 1 is still 7, times 3 is 21. 3 times 1 is 3, times 4 is 12, times 2, 12 times 2 is 24. Now that's not your answer because you can actually simplify that. So divide them both by 3, and you would get 7/8. Now was my answer positive or negative? I already said it in the beginning, it's positive. So there you go. I'll do one of these division problems for you. Number 12. If you got an improper fraction, first of all, I'll say, hey, is my answer going to be positive or negative? Well, I only have one negative, so my answer will be negative. So I'd say equals a negative sign. And then again, mixed number, got to change it to improper fraction. So 3/4 is 12. So you get 13/4 divided by 5/4. Notice how I keep the division sign still. Now we're going to flip and say 13/4 times, flip it, times 4/5. And when I do that, now I can cross cancel. Becomes a 1, becomes 1. I get 13/5. For time's sake today, you can leave it as an improper fraction, negative 13/5. How did I know it was negative? Because I only had one negative in my beginning. All right? Do the rest of these in partners, make sure and showing all work. Remember, I collect your binders, and I give you grades for completed notes. It'd be very disappointing to see that this stuff was not completed.